make sure that no matter what the situation, no matter what the circumstances, if I'm indoors, outdoors, air conditioning, 90-degree weather in the Bahamas, in the tropics, it doesn't matter. I want to make sure that whoever comes to see this show is going to have a phenomenal experience, that when they walk away, they're going to go, wow, Mommy, I can't wait to see him again.
In 1991, Barney the Dinosaur was already a name in many households. With the popularity of the Barney and the Backyard Gang home videos steadily rising, it was clear that creative team The Lions Group wanted to go bigger. Beforehand, the big purple dinosaur was piloted in voice by Bob West, but in performance by theater major David Voss. Voss portrayed the character for the beginning 6 videos in the Barney franchise. At the time, Voss would go off to enlist in the military, meaning Lions had to move forward with holding auditions for who would be next to take the helm as their big character.
Being Barney was never an accident. I was supposed to do this character.
Enter David Joyner, a former software analyst for Texas Instruments. Joyner was informed of the auditions, having no prior knowledge of the character. Initially reluctant, Joyner was given copies of certain outings from Barney and the Backyard Gang to look over as reference for the work in question.
She sent me some videotapes to watch the show. Every time I watched the show, I'd fall asleep. And so one night I had this dream right before the audition. Barney passes out. I have to give Barney mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. So I'm on my way to the audition. I'm sitting at a stoplight. The spirit says, look up. I look up. There's this billboard that says, breathe life into your vacation, Southwest Airlines. I'm walking across the parking lot. It hits me. You go into this audition, you breathe life into this character, you're going on vacation.
Although costume work was not part of his resume, Joyner did have prior experience as a live mannequin, standing and piloting his body as though he were a character. This would be something he'd take with him going into this line of work. Originally, a woman was selected to play Barney the Dinosaur. However, after a performance that reportedly seemed too much for her to handle, she was rushed out of the costume, with Joyner being next up on the list. Joyner's first big appearance as the purple character would be a live show held in 1991 at the Majestic Theater in Dallas, Texas. The show was filmed as the second to last tape in the Barney and the Backyard Gang series titled Barney in Concert. Once the cue was given, Barney exploded from the curtains with an energy previously unseen before at that point in time. With the character having been played somewhat relaxed in previous tapes, this performance was something somewhat unexpected. Joyner would also play Barney the Dinosaur in the Backyard Gang's final tape, Rock with Barney. He'd fantasize on the sheer magnitude the show could take on if it had ever made it on TV, not knowing that by that time, Barney and his friends were already dealing with PBS to have the characters brought into their own children's program. With this, Joyner would reprise the role heading into the new series. Barney and Friends hit television in April 1992, with David Joyner continuing as the main body and Bob West voicing the character. Now being at a higher caliber, West and Joyner would hone their connection across the episodes being filmed. During filming, just as before, West would speak his lines in a booth, being sent out through speakers to the set. It was then up to Joyner to act accordingly, puppeting the mouth as well as the body of Barney live, creating a greater sense of liveliness as opposed to traditional ADR. In the early episodes of Barney and Friends, it's clear that the timing hadn't quite been cemented just yet.
It's the gift of love, and you can keep it if you want to, but the more you share love, the more you'll have. Just try it.
But over time, both Joyner and West seemed unstoppable, with an impressive understanding of each other's inflections and mannerisms.
4 and 5. Oh, that's everybody. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Come on, everybody.
David Joyner would introduce the majority of Barney's now signature moves, these including the 360 spin mid-air, the bell kick, and even something as minuscule as his walk. Regardless of the situation, he'd always make sure to keep Barney moving, body, arms, mouth, and all. There are also various gentle mannerisms Joyner would give Barney, so minuscule that they aren't always pointed out, such as gently tapping a child's nose, prompting a laugh.
And give you back your smile.
I sure am, Barney.
I can see a smile on your face.
And even motioning the kids towards a certain direction whenever it's time for a dance.
And even when we play and as they grow a little older, we can do more things because I'm growing, and so are you.
World who can do the things you do. Oh, you are special, special. Everyone is special.
Pre-1991, Barney's mouth was handled much akin to Big Bird from Sesame Street. Joyner is often credited with discovering the famed bite bar inside the costumed character, then deciding to use it to its full potential.
To move Barney's mouth, I'm telling you a trade secret now. To move Barney's mouth, there's a bar connected to the bottom jaw that was padded with a sponge that I bit down on to grab the sponge. And I would nod my head up and down to move Barney's mouth.
Oh, just to move his head. So he's constantly moving. So
Yeah,
you're like,
every syllable is a nod.
oh my God.
Imagine doing that in
Oh,
Spanish.
good Lord. Imagine Puerto Rican. They speak even faster.
According to an interview with the puppet designer behind Season 4's Scooter and Miss Etta, Jim Kroupa, Joyner was so active in the costume at points that it at times would appear to fall apart.
They saw what we could do with these hand puppets, so they started talking to us about, doing something on Barney, because the original Barney, the guy that wore it, was so rough in it that he kept breaking it. It would tear apart. And find Barney singing a fast song where that mouth is going like this. And just shake your head along with it, biting onto it. I don't know how the guy didn't pass out inside of it. With that on, look at the guy dancing and hopping around and being like, really light looking on his feet for a big fat giant dinosaur jumping around with that in reality weighs 70 some odd pounds on your shoulders.
Joyner would tap into the spiritual aspect of the character, often praying before entering the costume in hopes that a greater spirit would take hold and work in tandem with him as Barney would interact with the kids. David Joyner played Barney the Dinosaur for more than 10 years and through a majority of Barney's biggest titles. You can see his performances through Barney and Friends Season 1,
Hi there!
Season 2,
Hi, everybody! Looking for me?
Season 3,
Oh, hi there!
Seasons 4, 5, and 6, as well as nearly every home video produced from 1992 through 2000, including the NBC primetime special Barney's Imagination Island, and even the theatrical film Barney's Great Adventure, the movie.
I believe in you.
In fact, if you look closely, during the restaurant scene of the film, you can actually spot him enjoying a meal on camera whilst Barney performs on stage. Joyner would also be present for award show appearances.
Okay, Walt, and you can just call me, Barney.
Certain off-series concert shows, and TV spots during that time.
We can do all that and more when you come along and join in the fun on Barney and Friends. Watch me every day on WETA. Boy, oh boy.
After retiring the main role in 2001, he'd continue to do various appearances from time to time outside the TV series, and train other body performers for the character in different countries up through 2005. Following Barney, Joyner would take up the main body role of another popular costumed character, this time being Hip Hop Harry.
When I say hip hop, you say Harry, hip hop.
In fact, there was once a time in which Joyner was slated to play both Barney and Hip Hop Harry in the same show back to back. Building himself up for the event, it was decided last minute that the two characters would be played by himself and another performer instead. It was at this moment that Joyner decided it was time to part ways with the purple dinosaur. Despite this, he still holds great pride in the work put in for such a massive icon. As a spiritual man, as well as an African-American body performer, he and his work continue to serve as a testament to many across the world. Even behind a mask, hidden to the world, you can do big things if you put your mind to it. All it takes is a little imagination.
All right.
Because a lot of people wouldn't know unless I let them know. And then they're
Right.
like, wow,
Yeah.
wow, you were Barney? And I'm like, yeah, Google Barney Black Man. Traveling the world, spreading love.
I love it.
Thank you to Emilia, Cameron, Junior the Hedgehog, Common J, Megley, and Nerdy Disney for supporting the stage.